Gotta get used to the new system. Okay.
I pledge allegiance and to the nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Por libertad a la bandera de los Estados Unidos de América y a la república que representa una nación ante Dios, indivisible, con libertad y justicia para todos. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible. Honra la bandera de Texas. Te juro lealtad a ti, Texas. Un estado ante Dios, único e indivisible. And now for a moment of silence. Thank you. You may be seated. Code of the Wolves. Protect your pack. Show no fear. Respect the elders. Teach the young. Lead your companions. Survive each day. Have to win tomorrow. Explore the unknown. Adapt to the environment. Demonstrate your never head down and leave your mark. This evening we have Jalen, Mia, Kaden, Adeline, Penelope, and Kylan.
Good job. Thank you. Excellent job. Excellent job.
Thank you. Thought of the day: dream big, work hard, stay focused, and surround yourself with good people. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kimball. I love all those. Beautiful words. Moving on to agenda item 1B, I'm going to do roll call of board members present. Ms. Ortiz? Here. Mr. Luna?
Presente.
Mr. Moreno? Ms. Limon? Here. Ms. Carrillo? Present. And Mr. Mancha is unable to join us today. He sends his apologies. We do have a quorum. Mr. Soto?
Madam Chair, Board of Trustees, HISD family, this evening we have our Assistant Superintendent for Business, Mr. Richard Hernandez. Here. We have our Executive Director of Operations, Dr. Hinojosa. Here. We have our Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction, Ms. Casey.
Here.
We have our Executive Director of Human Resources, Dr. Salinas.
Here.
And we have our filling in Public Information Officer, Ms. Melinda Garza.
Here. Thank you, Mr. Soto. Welcome, everybody. We also have Dr. Judy Castleberry with us this evening. Hi, Dr. Castleberry.
Hello, thank you.
Moving on to agenda item 2, the board will conduct a public hearing regarding the District Superior Achievement Rating on the Financial Integrity Rating System of Texas for the 12 months ending June 30th, 2021. Mr. Hernandez?
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. This evening, we're presenting the results of our financial integrity rating systems. So if the text can get the PowerPoint up, please. There you go. Excellent. Great, great. We bring good news again for this year's first integrity rating systems. It's a financial integrity rating system of Texas for 2021 fiscal year. The district achieved superior achievement. This is the 19th consecutive year that we've achieved that rating. There are 4 ratings: superior, above standard, standard, and substandard. This rating is used to help improve the management of financial resources and evaluation of the financial performances of the school district. It also helps the school districts evaluate their health, their stability, and their condition of the school districts. TEA uses that, and also TEA uses that along with other ratings to provide accountability for school districts. As I said, we achieved a superior achievement. We scored 98 out of 100. Included in this presentation tonight is also a management report that provides more of a narrative of the indicators that I'll be covering this evening. That begins on your board book on page 12. Along with that management report, there are required disclosures that we need to make. One is whenever there is any type of reimbursements for registration fees for travel for superintendents and board members, that's included in the report. Any compensation that's received by the superintendent outside of his regular superintendent duties, there were none. Any gifts received by superintendent award members during that fiscal year of 2021, again, there were none. And then any business transactions between the district and board members, which there were none for fiscal year 2021. Additionally, a requirement is to post the superintendent's contract. When you go to the district's webpage, click on superintendent, scroll down, you'll see superintendent's contract. It leads you directly to his present contract. The rating is composed of 20 indicators. It's separated into 3 critical areas. One is critical indicators, the second is fiscal indicators, and the third one is the efficiency indicators. On the critical indicators, that's where the ratings will measure the financial condition of the school district. One of them is that we were timely in our submission of our financial information. That's required 150 days after the close of the fiscal year. Also, very critical is receiving basically what they call a clean opinion. In other words, the financial condition of the district met the audit requirements, and so it received a clean opinion on its reporting and its financial conditions. Another compliance is looking at the bond payments and ensuring that we met all the bond requirements, in which we did. And then, of course, timely payments to TRS, IRS, and the Workforce Commission, which we were timely on those as well. Indicator 5 was not measured. That was basically measuring what they call the net position of the school district, and that's still under review by TEA on how to measure that, since that includes the liability of the states and the portion of the districts relating to the TRS. The next indicators, 6 through 14, measure the fiscal responsibility of the school districts, basically the financial components of the school district. Again, TEA is looking to make sure that there's a reasonable level of a fund balance over the last 3 years. If it's less than 25% increase or a decrease, then that would be a issue with TEA. However, our change in our fund balance measured from 2.1% last year to 8.6%. So we were within the criteria. The next indicators, 7 and 9, measure basically the liquidity of the district. Do we have enough assets to cover all our liabilities? And using the measurement tool of TEA, we have 204 days of cash on hand, which is sufficient to cover the operating expenditures of the district. Again, also in looking at indicators 8, 11, and 12, those measure the long-term and short-term liabilities of the school district, basically the bond liabilities that we have as required to the percentage of the assets, and then our debt to our assessed property value. Now, again, to remind the board and the community, the district is supported by state funding on its debt obligations under the existing debt allotment and the instructional facility allotment. The next indicators, which you can't see on the screen, but you can see them on your board book, and apologize to the community on that. They're indicators 13 and 14. They measure the administrative cost ratio and the enrollment to staff. It's not indicated on here, it's not shown on the screen, but our administrative ratio is 6.61%. The maximum allowed by the state is 8.55%. So we're below that percentage. Also, our staffing ratio decline was at 13.5%, and TEA's maximum allowed is 15%. Indicator 10 is not included in here. What that measured was the budgeted revenues to what was actually received from the state. We were affected in 2021 by the hold harmless of the state. And so that impacted the way they were going to measure that. So they delayed that for this year. The next indicators, 15 through 20, are the efficiency indicators, basically the efficiency of the district's reporting and the compliance of the district. Indicator 15 was not measured. What this measured was the ADA projections that we provided the state as we began the new fiscal year. But again, 2021, we were impacted by COVID as all the other school districts were, hence the hold harmless that the state implemented. So that had a big impact on everybody's projections. So they delayed that indicator for that year. The next indicator, 16, measures our reporting, our PIMS reporting, both on student and financial, where within the required 3% variance of the state. The next indicator, 17 and 18, again, are critical, just like the audit opinion, to ensure that that the district didn't have any material weakness in its internal control, which is important in order to protect the assets of the district and the operations. Also, there were no non-compliance noted in the local, state, and in our federal grants. And then the last indicators of 1920, we met the required disclosures by the state to post our information on the website, and any the required information that we disclosed during our budget process regarding our property values, which basically we're reporting to the board that the state would normally use 1 year's lapse time in order to determine their state funding for us when they look at our property values. But basically, we met that criteria. So, Madam Chairman, that concludes the presentation for the financial integrity rating system of Texas for the school district.
Thank you, Mr. Hernandez. And I do know we had this presentation during our work session. So I don't know if any of us have any questions, but I will ask. I guess they were all answered at the work session or through emails.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. As you know, I am a visual person. I have to see what you're referring to, and I just can't have a conversation with you about finances. And you always do an excellent job at breaking it down in a manner that I can understand it. How you spend all your days, all your hours, more than you should, looking at numbers. I gotta applaud you, Mr. Hernandez. I gotta applaud you on that. But we maintain clear and transparent communication with our community and our staff. And it's because of you, Mr. Hernandez, because you make it clear of what we're doing on a daily basis with the district's finances. Hence why we got a 98 out of 100. So I want to thank you on behalf of the board and the community, myself. This is very, very, very good for us.
Thank you,
98 out of 100, that's really good. And we can't do this ourselves. You do it for us. And I appreciate that. And I know our taxpayers appreciate it as well. So applause to you, Mr. Hernandez. I appreciate it. Good job.
Thank you.
Anybody else want to piggyback? No? Okay. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Moving on to agenda item 3, we have public comment, and we have Mr. Scott Lancon. Hi, Mr. Lancon. C-O-N. Did I pronounce your last name? Is it C-O-N? Okay, thank you. And it's Lancon?
Yes, that's what I go
Okay,
by.
perfect.
Make it
I
easier
just
on
want-
everybody else.
I just want to make sure I'm not mispronouncing it, so thank you. So just as a friendly reminder, you have a maximum of 3 minutes to speak. The topics addressed shall be limited to those specifically included on the board's agenda and or district related. And for your easy reference, we should have a timer up. I don't have my glasses. Do we have a timer up? Yes, so you will have 3 minutes. That'll be your guide, and we're ready whenever you are.
All right. I would like to thank the board for letting me have an opportunity to speak tonight. I come to you as a more than a decade teacher at McCollum High School and a 10-year veteran of the United States Navy and a lover of this school district and our great McCollum High School baseball team. So with that in mind, I wanted to bring to the board's attention some difficulty I've had over the course of this school year with regards to the new process for approving websites that have been banned by the district's filtering software that IT is using right now. I have been using one website for more than a decade and another website for the last few years. Just like we did here at the board meeting, we started with a quote, an inspirational quote. I do the same thing as well in my class. I bring to the students some inspiration, some hope, some words of wisdom from a website called brainyquote.com. I also use a website called freetypinggame.net to allow the students an opportunity to build their typing skills. This website allows students to build up the process of using all of their fingers, which if you've seen our students typing, they do not have at this point because they're so used to using their thumbs to type. It's an important process, a step-by-step instruction, and unfortunately I can't do it because the website has been blocked. This process is incredibly difficult. I want to remind you, these are 2 free websites, and the process now requires me to fill out a purchasing request to get unblocked a free website. This was initially denied because it was on the list of blocked websites. I'm like, well, yes, that's why I'm filling out the request. Another instance of when it was blocked was because, why the request was blocked was because they said that we haven't heard from you in 2 weeks. Oh, well, okay, is that, I don't imagine that too many people are able to get information like that, because one of the things that they were requesting was the websites themselves had to fill out a district required addendum with such things as where the court of record is going to be and stuff like that. Mind you, free websites that are completely free for us to use. And another way that they were rejected was they called the freetypinggame.net a global game. I found that surprising, considered we also allow on our website a game called nitrotype.com. Nitrotype is literally a 5-person typing game competition with people who are not in the classroom, not on the school grounds, literally anywhere in the world. My website that I use got rejected because it's a global game with a leaderboard. This Nitrotype website is a literal game worldwide, and it remains perfectly available for our students to use. I find it hard to believe that it's the board's intention that this
Mr.
convoluted
Lancome,
process.
I'm going to have to stop you. That's your 3 minutes, but I appreciate it. I appreciate you signing up for public comment and on the information you gave us. Thank you, sir. Next, community member that signed up is Natalie Clifford. Ms. Clifford? Hi, Ms. Clifford.
Good evening.
Just as a friendly reminder, you have 3-minute maximum to speak. The topics addressed shall be limited to those specifically included on the board's agenda and or district related. There is a timer for your easy reference and guidance, and we're ready whenever you are.
Good evening, Superintendent Soto, District Cabinet members, Board President Cavazos, board members, and Harlandale community. I wish you all a happy belated Indigenous Peoples' Day, which was this past Monday, October 10th. My name is Natalie Clifford, and I serve as the president of our educators union, the Harlandale Education Association. I'm proud that Bear County adopted Indigenous Peoples Day in 2015, following many other cities and counties across the country, recognizing the importance of centering the voices of the original inhabitants of the land on which we stand. We're on the land of the Humanos, Huahuiltecan, Lipan Apache, and Tonkawa people. Indigenous people continue to thrive with dignity and maintain their cultures and languages amidst misconceptions in popular culture. We as educators have access to a platform to influence not only students, but our colleagues and staff as well. Our platform is a tremendous responsibility. I encourage everyone to Google the website called Native Land, which is, quote, a resource to learn more about Indigenous territories, languages, land, and ways of life, end quote. I've been privileged in my life to learn from a number of Indigenous individuals in the different places I have lived before San Antonio, and I strive to do a much better job in including those voices in my teaching. I'm also here this evening to share some facts which our union discovered after time spent researching the B rating our public school district proudly received from the Texas Education Agency. Northeast ISD, Northside ISD, San Antonio ISD, and Southwest ISD all earned a B rating from TEA, just like we did. On the other hand, nearby Bandera ISD, East Central, and Seguin were all not rated due to receiving a D or F rating from TEA. Additionally, South San Antonio ISD received a C rating. Amidst all the school districts in San Antonio, Harlandale ISD is the only school district with a conservator still in place. We all understand there are reasons that TEA placed a conservator with our district almost 3 years ago. However, the school board has come a long way since then, and no school district is perfect, but our current leadership is committed to making progress and providing opportunities for our brilliant Southside youth who deserve everything. Our school board members come from this community and are invested in the well-being of our students, families, and staff. There's nothing distinct about our school district comparable to the others that warrants the continued presence of supervision of our school board and district activities. In conclusion, we as the workers in the district will continue to speak out for democratic decision-making at every level. The definition of democracy from Merriam-Webster Dictionary is, quote, government by the people or the common people, especially when constituting the source of political authority. Please know that we speak up because we are dedicated to this community. We perform essential labor in spite of the struggles facing public education across the country. Please also remember it's the workers who played a key role in helping us achieve the B rating. We have a lot to do to create the opportunities our kids deserve and build a more just society. Nevertheless, we can do so independently. Please, everyone, go vote in the upcoming November election and keep educators and public schools in mind at the ballot box that has a huge impact on our district. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Clifford. Thank you so much. Moving on to agenda item 4, announcements.
Good evening, happy fall and happy October and happy National Principals Month to all of our principals in the audience today. So our host campus, Adams Elementary, actually put together a quick little video that I want to share with you all.
Welcome to Adams, home of the wolves. We have 4 days but 1 path. We like to have fun and celebrate students and staff. Our days are always competing in academic and physical activities. Students and staff spend more time at school than they do anywhere else. My number 1 rule is to love our student and everything else will fall into place. We believe in knowing the whole child and giving our students those opportunities to develop and grow. Adams has a partnership with ACE and CIS. We offer clubs such as garden, culinary, art, theater, dance, and a kindness club. We also have pet technicians and controls. Adams welcomes parents to the campus because it takes a team to help grow and develop those beautiful children. Now listen and see why our students and staff love Adams. Have a spectacular evening.
So thank you so much to Adams Elementary for sharing that. So we do have a special recognition today. We have Ms. Erica Aringuez in the audience today. She was named a 2022 Estrella de Texas. She was honored earlier this month at the Estrella de Texas Awards for her positive influence and impact in our community. So if we can have Ms. Aringuez join us. And if we can have everyone stand up for a photo. Okay, go.
I did want to say thank you to the board members. Thank you to my family, of course, and also to Ms. Longoria. She's awesome, and I'm able to do a lot of the things that I do in my community because I have her supporting me. So she doesn't get enough of that credit herself, and so I just want to say thank you.
Okay, is everyone ready? Big smiles. Perfect. Thank you so much and congratulations again. And I do want to invite you all to our Veterans Day ceremony. It's going to take place on Friday, October 28th at 6 p.m. We have already invited all of our HISD staff to participate, and we do have quite a list that's getting compiled. So we do have quite a bit of veterans that we want to honor, and we want to invite you to join us. We're going to have our JROTC in attendance with their tunnel, and we would love to have you there to greet them as they enter the tunnel. And that's going to be at the Harlandale Memorial Stadium track before Harlandale's homecoming game. So our Frontier Bowl is coming up. We are very excited. I'm sure we are all counting down by now. It is going to be at 6 p.m. at Southwest Legacy Stadium. Before then, we do want to host our new 2022 Hall of Fame inductees. So we will be hosting a Hall of Fame Frontier Bowl ceremony on the track. That's going to take place at the Harlandale Memorial track on, it's going to take place at the Southwest Legacy Stadium. So it's going to be right before the Frontier Bowl. And it's going to be Saturday, November 5th at 5 p.m. So kickoff is at 6 p.m. for the Frontier Bowl and 5 p.m. is the ceremony. So next we have our average daily attendance, or ADA. So these are the last few days or last 2 weeks that we have up on the board. I'm going to read the date of October 14th, 2022, which is the last data set that we have. So that was last Friday. So enrollment, we have 12,145. Pre-K through 12 is 87.98%. And then our pre-K ADA is 87.08%. So these are some important dates that we have coming up. We have our Veterans Day ceremony, October 28th at the stadium. That's going to be at 6 p.m. We have our Hall of Fame banquet on November 1st at 6 p.m. Our Frontier Bowl Hall of Fame ceremony, November 5th, and that is again at the Southwest Legacy Stadium at 5 p.m. Our Frontier Bowl on November 5th at the Southwest Legacy Stadium at 6 p.m. And our District Family Night will be on November 10th at the Hack parking lot from 5 to 7 p.m. And that does it for our announcements. Does anyone have any questions?
None from me. Anybody else? Nope. Thank you so much.
One second, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
I just want to commend Ms. Garza for all the things that she's done. The golf tournament was spectacular. We raised, I know you didn't put a number over there, but over $40,000 that we had raised for scholarships for the children. She took on National Night Out. I think that was a great event. So I know it's a tough task being one member short, which is Mariana. Thank you for filling in and doing such a wonderful job.
Thank you so much.
Moving on to agenda item 5, information and reports. 5A, Ms. Ortiz?
Yes, Madam Chair and board members, the Lone Star Governance Time Use Tracker that I'm going to go over. This first one is for September the 12th, 2022. The framework, vision and goals for that particular meeting, there were no student outcome minutes or no other topic minutes. It actually comes out to 0 minutes that were done, which means 0% was spent on student outcome minutes. On September the 14th, the Lone Star Governance Time Use Tracker, visions and goals of those minutes, 0 minutes were spent on student outcome minutes, 0 minutes were spent on other topic minutes, progress and accountability, 0 minutes, other topics, 0 minutes, systems and processes, 0 minutes, advocacy and engagement, student outcome minutes, there were 0. And it comes all the way down to 173 minutes were spent on other topics on September the 14th, meaning 0% was spent on student outcome minutes. On September the 19th, time use tracker, our visions and goals, we have 8 minutes being spent on student outcome goals or receiving, discussing, and voting on student outcome goal monitoring reports according to the monitoring calendar. 1 minute spent on setting constraints or theories of action, or minutes receiving, discussing, and voting on constraint monitoring reports according to the monitor calendar. We had 17 student outcome minutes spent in progress and accountability. We had 5 student outcome minutes spent on advocacy and engagement, while 6 minutes were spent on other topics, hosting all other board-led, co-led, or called community or committee meetings. That was 6 minutes. On other, we had 26 minutes on other topic meetings for a total of 32 minutes. For student outcome minutes, we had 31 minutes for a total of 63 minutes for that September 19th meeting, which means 49% of the meeting was spent on student outcome minutes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Ortiz. And just as a friendly reminder, September 12th, it was a special call meeting. That was our superintendent's evaluation. Hence why we did not have any minutes towards student outcome. September 14th, that was a board work session. Also the reason why there were no student outcome minutes on that meeting. And on the 19th of September, that was a regular board meeting. That is why we had 49% of student outcome minutes. Thank you so much, Ms. Ortiz. I just wanted to make sure that our community was aware of the dates and what type of meeting we had on those September dates. Moving on to agenda item 5B. Mr. Soto, who's going to do that presentation?
Yes, Madam Chair, Board of Trustees, at this time, we're going to have Ms. Palafox present.
Good evening, Madam President, school board members, cabinet.
staff and community. My name is Rosa Palafox Torres. I'm the bilingual ESL coordinator. And this afternoon, I'm going to be presenting the bilingual ESL program evaluation. This is an annual information that we are required to present to the board. So we're going to start with our mission and vision for our dual language ESL program. For our vision, we have empowering and inspiring our multilingual community to be the change by embracing bilingualism and biculturalism, promoting high levels of academic achievement, and celebrating social, cultural, and linguistic diversity. And our mission is our students, educators, families, and community work together to ensure educational equity for language learners by providing culturally responsive instruction designed to meet the cognitive, linguistic, and affective needs of all learners. Through these collective efforts, we will cultivate productive and responsible citizens prepared to lead in a culturally diverse world. That's our mission. So I want to start off with a little update on McCollum High School's Dream Center. So over the spring, through the leadership of Ms. Natalie Clifford, the students worked on a mural for the Dream Center. And in this, they created, right, a representation of themselves in this mural. So I thought it was very fitting to share with our school board members the work that our students have been doing in the Dream Center. And this is a space for them to come in and as a community within the school, and also to receive assistance, right, by peers and also from the teachers themselves. So it's just a wonderful place for our students. And I just wanted to share some of that update. And again, it's through the leadership of our teacher, Ms. Clifford, and the staff at McCollum High School. So I want to share the picture of the students as they're working on that center as well. Okay, so some of the information that we are required to just present to the board is our emergent bilingual student numbers. So as you know, the term changed from an English language learner to emergent bilingual students. So that's where you're going to see the difference. It's the same thing, right? It's actually in federal statute, they still have English learner. But at the state level, the term was changed, okay? So currently we have, well, last year, this is information reported from the 2021-2022 school year. So last year we had a count of 2,120 emergent bilingual students. That's 18% of our total student population. Out of those students, 1,173 students participated in a dual language program. And that's actually combined with also the non-emergent bilingual students. So the native English speakers that also participate in dual language. That was a total of 1,173 students. We had 888 students participate in an English as a second language program. And we had 3 students reclassify at the end of the school year, meaning that they met the criteria set by the state, demonstrating that they're now English proficient. Okay, so there was 3 students that met that criteria. So here we're showing percentage of students. So we're looking at STAR approaches in grades 3 through end of course STAR. So when you look at the blue bar, that represents the district, okay, the whole district. And when we look at the reddish one, those are emergent bilingual students. Those are students that are still classified as emergent bilingual students, meaning that they haven't met proficiency in English, okay? The third bar, the yellow one, represents the students who have met criteria, and we're still tracking them, right? We're still coding them so that we're able to pull this data and see how they're doing years after exit. And as you can see, and this is the testament to our teachers, the work of our teachers in our district, once students meet proficiency in English, look at how high they're scoring, right? They're able to achieve that, you know, and surpass really even, you know, district and state standards. So it's really important for us to continue working at developing that English proficiency, because once they reclassify, they show that they're really performing very well. Okay, so the next piece of information is bilingual exception. So as a district, whenever we don't have, right, we are required per chapter 89 to have certified teachers. When we do not have enough certified teachers, then we're required to submit. For bilingual education, it's a bilingual exception, okay? And this year, we have 4 vacancies as from the time that this was, turned in a couple of weeks ago. We had 4 teachers, 4 vacancies in a bilingual or in a dual language class. And that represents 57 students, okay? So this is gonna go on to TEA, right? Where we're requesting an exception from the bilingual program for those 4 classrooms, okay? Now, for ESL, because we do offer ESL as well, whenever we don't have enough ESL certified teachers, we are required to submit a waiver of certification requirements for those teachers, okay? When we don't have, and this is for both programs, when we don't have enough, we are required to provide to TA within the application for the waiver an alternate language program. So meaning that when we don't have enough teachers, we're still supposed to have a plan. Okay, so you don't have enough teachers, but how are you still providing services to the students? Okay, and there's a variety of ways that we do that. For this ESL waiver, the number of teachers under the waiver last year were 38 teachers. The number of teachers who met certification requirements for ESL within that year were 9. Okay, and then the number of teachers under an ESL waiver for this current school year are 54. Okay, so for this, we just have to also take into consideration that this takes into account, like maybe teachers did get certified, but maybe we lost some teachers, right? If we hire new teachers, they may not have the certification, right? So we're not necessarily talking about the same teachers, right? We have new teachers, we have teachers that retired, teachers that left. So that's kind of taking that also into consideration. Okay, so the other piece of information that we are required to report is the Allotment credit. So students who participate in a dual language program have the opportunity to earn a Allotment credit, which is language other than English, right? Credit as a graduation, that's part of the graduation requirements for participating in a dual language program. And we had 51 students, 5th grade students earn that credit by the end of the last year. That's great, because that means that they already have a high school credit on their transcript from participating in the dual language program. Okay, so we had 51 students that earned that. The other piece of information is the Spanish credit by exam. We're also required to offer a Spanish credit by exam where students can test out of Spanish 1 or Spanish 2 as part of their also graduation requirements. So we're required to report the number of students tested. So as you can see in the chart here, we had for Spanish 1, we had 81 students test. We had 150 of those students score 70% or above. 144 score an 80% or above. So the average score for Spanish 1 test was 93. For Spanish 2, we had 227 students test. 142 of those students scored a 70% or above, 98 and 80%, and the average score was an 82. And then for Spanish 3, we had 207 students test. 138 of those students scored a 70 or above, and 112 scored an 80 and above for an average score of 76. So part of the ESL waiver, we are required to provide professional development to teachers. So first piece is TEA for teachers seeking certification, ESL certification. TEA does have a free ESL certification online course. This is a self-paced course where teachers go through the different domains to prepare for the test. So that is available to all teachers who are wanting to get ESL certified. TEA has also developed free bilingual teacher certification courses for any teacher that's wanting to get their bilingual certification. And these are online, self-paced, free courses developed by TEA. At the district level, we did offer, and these are a list of some of the trainings that we offered our teachers across the district. So we had TELPAS data and TELPAS tutorial trainings. We had a training called Engaging Students Through Content, with content through language. We had biliteracy trainings, we had book study opportunities, and over 100 PD professional development session opportunities. We had 100% of the TELPAS raters receive TELPAS fall training, and then core content teachers trained in linguistic accommodations. And then just kind of to bring it back to our why, right? These are our kids. This is our why we do what we do. A little bit of that social cultural competence piece. A lot of our schools across the district last year participated or had activities for the Day of the Dead or Dia de los Muertos, where they had the students create altares and ofrendas. And this was a wonderful celebration of their culture, and we had a lot of families participate across the district from elementary all the way through high school. Even STEM had their own altar. So these are just some examples of those altares. Thank you, Ms. Palafox. Any questions or comments? I actually just have something very, very quick, if I may. The Spanish test, just I guess, receive credit. That is free of charge for our students?
Yes,
And it is an option that our students have?
yes.
Okay. What do we do as a district to advertise that? We offer this test actually at the end of 8th grade to a lot of our kids. So all the teachers go through and say, hey, this test is available. Do you want to take this test? So we do test a lot of 8th graders going into high school, so that when they get there, they're already not put in Spanish 1. And these are kids that, like, everyone has the access to this test, whether you were in dual language or you were not, because we have kids, that are native Spanish speakers that can test out of that. So we provide that for our 8th graders at the end of the year. And then we're required to offer it quarterly for high school students. So we have windows where we offer it throughout the year. Okay, and the teachers, I mean, we have the counselors advertising the test, we have the teachers advertising the test, ensuring that we give everyone access to it. Thank you very much.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Ms. Limon,
Ms. Palafox, how many times
Yes,
can
ma'am.
they take it? What if they?
they can
well,
take it two times.
Two
That's
times?
That's by the state, yeah, when they're not, they can't take it more than that.
Okay,
Mhm.
thank you.
Anybody else? Mr. Luna? Yes, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Luna. I want to see you go back to the slide with the percentage students approaches, the third, the star results. Just for clarification, you mentioned earlier that I know the system, I'm a bilingual teacher, I have a master's degree in bilingual education. You have 3 kids that were exited, that means they're English proficient, right? So on the yellow bars, are those the kids that passed that are proficient, or is that I don't know what grade level the kids that are in the
Okay. That's a great question.
that
Thank you.
bar?
Oh.
That
Okay.
one.
So the yellow bar are not just those 3 kids. This is anyone that is already coded as reclassified. So per federal requirement, we code our students. So we code them right when they reclassify the first year, we code them monitor 1 and 2. We're required to monitor them for those 2 years. So any student that is a monitor 1 or 2 falls in that bar bucket, okay? But any student that is year 3, 4, 5 after exit also falls in that bucket, okay? So when you think about those numbers, it's anyone that was previously coded as an emergent bilingual student and is no longer, it has met criteria. Okay, so we're required to track them until they graduate. They stay monitor 5 till they graduate.
So the concern I want to show the community is that I've always heard, and I know I've seen in other programs, that the bilingual students outperform statewide and district students as well. But I just don't know that the parents feel that that's what's going on, and for whatever reason, our numbers have been declining. That's what I've heard the last 10 years. So let's wish we would promote this success more, because I know they do struggle at the beginning. That's the red kids, right? But then they
Yes.
eventually do catch up. And just when I taught my college students, it takes time for people to understand that you're using more brain capacity. You're using more of your Cecils, my abuelitos say, your canicas, right? So that just begs to differ. Even when you're coding, that means you're using more technology, using more intelligence. So I just wish we'd promote that more with the district. 'Cause this is one of my concerns I really have for the district is that the number of students is declining. I don't know if the parents are really understanding the benefits of being a bilingual. I know in this district, you're a bilingual certified teacher, you get a stipend. And so maybe we can give the ESL teachers a stipend as well as some time for training. Because I know that in order to do better, we
Luna.
need to get those people out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Luna, just in time. Anybody else? Thank you, Ms. Palafox. Thank you so much. Moving on to agenda item 5C. Is that Dr. Hinojosa?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Madam Chair and members of the board. So this particular item is not included in your board book. The information that we're going to cover in closed session, it's confidential information. We don't want to compromise any of our policies and procedures. So we're just going to do a brief overview right now, and then the documents will be reviewed in detail in closed session. But just to keep up with the governor's mandate back in June that required us to put together a safety committee. So the district has complied with that mandate. We have had a safety committee. The safety committee has met 2 times, once in July and once in August. And part of that was to update and revise our EOP, our emergency operation plan that was already in place in the district. And then also to make sure that we updated and revised the campus EOPs as well. Part of the revision through the committee has been the creation and revision of 2 documents. Those are the ones that we'll share in closed session. One is the active threat annex. And the active threat annex, that is a kind of a global for the district. It applies to the entire district, it's not specific to a campus. And that's really, that will kind of detail the procedures of how the district will work to be able to, any human threat or any natural disaster, any threat of that sort that would affect the district, it will give us procedures for that. The second document that was created and revised, and then some parts were created by the committee is the active shooter response. And that is more of a directive that that has also been worked through with our police department. That one is more specific to an active shooter, whereas the active threat annex is for really any disaster or anything that could occur that would impact the district. So those 2 documents, again, they have or contain some compromising information. So we'll share those in detail in closed session. Along with that, part of the mandates now is that every school district gets a safety audit through the Texas School Safety Center. We received notification last week that they would come within either last week or this week to audit one of our campuses. And we're happy to say that Friday they did come in and audit this particular campus, and they found no findings, nothing that would have had a response for us to have failed that audit or to bring any action plan in place. So we like to congratulate Ms. Gimbel and her staff for that. At the same time, our Chief of Police, our emergency management officer, Mr. Forestier, Corporal Olivares, our safety officer, have been working really close with all of our campus principals. So I know they're here. They may have nachos on their fingers, but we'd like to also commend all of our campus principals. They are at 100% in terms of all the documents that they're required to have submitted and on file on their campuses. So they are at 100% of submitting everything, monitoring the district, the campus sweeps, the door sweeps, a lot of the things that they're required to do. And again, we're happy to report that they are at 100% also. So thank y'all to the principals. That concludes pretty much the updates. We do have those 2 documents that we're going to review in closed session. But again, we're just, this is ongoing. We know student safety is primary concern, not only, for all the students in Texas, but again, those 2 documents we will review in closed session.
Thank you, Dr. Hinojosa. Anybody have any questions or comments? I actually have one. You mentioned we have, maybe it's more than 2, safety plans, but one is related to Mother Nature. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
That's the active threat annex. So that is for both natural disasters or anything, toxic spills or anything that could be that along those lines, and not just anything that could be caused by a person.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr.
Yes, ma'am.
Hinojosa. Okay, moving on to item 6, consent item.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Mr. Moreno.
if I may, I'd like to make a motion to approve items A through D as listed.
I second. Thank you, Mr. Moreno, for the motion. Ms. Carrillo, thank you for your second. Is there any discussion that needs to be started, or can I move forward with the vote? Okay, we're moving forward with the vote. This is for consent item A, 6A, 6B, 6C, 6D. Ms. Carrillo? Yay. Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Limon?
Yay.
Thank you. Mr. Moreno?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Mr. Luna?
Yay.
Thank you. Ms. Ortiz?
I had asked some questions in reference to 6B. I never got those answers, so I am going to abstain.
Thank you, Ms. Ortiz. And my vote is yes. So we do have the majority, so consent items 6A, 6B, 6C, and 6D all pass. Moving on to agenda item 7, individual items, 7A. Mr. Soto?
Ms. Casey?
Yes, we have Tracy Anderson. She will be presenting data for our CTE program for our LSG goals.
Good evening, Madam President, school board members, executive staff, Superintendent Soto, members of the community, and also our district staff, campus administrators. Thank you for asking me to present this evening. I was looking forward to this, just to share some information and some updates. One of the updates we're going to take a look at on the agenda is we'll look at 4 different areas. The labor market information that we had seen at the end of last year with our comprehensive local needs assessment that we had to fill out regarding our Perkins grant as a requirement by the state. And we'll just take just a brief run through of that. And also our support from our industry advisory committee, our comprehensive local needs assessment priorities agreed upon by our committee, and also our IBC, our industry-based certification information with teacher support, which is the first part leading is a support before we get to that part. And then any upcoming events that we're excited to share for this coming year. So looking at our top career clusters that we see here, this was from our labor market information provided by the Texas Education Agency as far as the Alamo region, and that includes our education and training as number 1, and STEM and health science. And we're very fortunate to offer all of these programs in career clusters, in addition to those that we see that are of interest by our students and community, which do include law enforcement, our culinary arts program, automotive, in addition to architecture and construction. And our construction, we are pleased to say, has taken off with great strides here in addition to our architecture program. So we're excited about that. In addition to our arts and AV with film and broadcast that we enjoy throughout the district. We'll look at our 6s and 7s. When I say that, this is the coding that the state has for our programs, and called, as we begun to understand, with our code 6 as being concentrators, code 7 if you're labeled that as a student, or depending on how many courses you take, you're a completer. And that's what's coming up at this point, this part. But before we get there, with our advisory committee, we looked at our comprehensive local needs assessment, and they agreed upon our 5 priorities, and to continue those with additional emphasis on teacher training, teacher support, so that we can improve our industry-based certification numbers, And those also include in the 5 areas listed up there as we've seen in the past, but to continue to expand all of our programs, which will help us meet our growth performance measure 1.1, to include having more students enrolled in our courses that are CTE recognized industry program based with our certifications. So when we look at this, we'll continue to build our IT program, information technology, of course, which is very strong in the San Antonio and even Austin area, education and training, and we'll look at that. STEM, health science pathways with an increase in student recruiting and marketing from our elementaries up through our high school. This also includes our teacher recruitment. We also have a priority to continue our efforts to reach out to industry to build partnerships for work-based learning opportunities with the business industry and college and university. And as I mentioned earlier, to retain and train our teachers, as we know that is certainly a priority with relevant staff development and professional development opportunities through industry-guided conversations with our Harlandale ISD CTE Workforce Bridging Committee Advisory Council. We are continuing to look at how we're increasing our dual credit opportunities. And then of course, embedded within all of this is how we're helping to support our academics in all of our CTE courses. So our goal is, as mentioned, the percentage of students enrolled in and on track in our CTE industry certification program will increase from 8% to 12% by the end of this year. So how do we get there? What strides have we made? When we look at this, we have to look at the concentrators and completers. And that means the students that are enrolled in our courses that have taken and passed, or code 6, and this is the chart from our TEA website for CTE, they complete and pass 2 or more CTE courses for a total. And the difference here is they're completing and passing. They don't just take the course, of at least 2 credits within that same program of study. So when we look at 7s, that's completing and passing 3 or more CTE courses for a total of 4 or more credits within a program of study. This one has an extra caveat to it where we need to include at least 1 level 3 or 4 course in that program of study. So what are we taking our junior and senior year in most cases? So the data that we have here, which I pulled this up, is to provide some type of backdrop and foundation for this. I looked at the 2 traditional campuses, Harlandale and McCollum, which is where the majority, if not almost all of our IBCs come from. And we're looking to expand that. And last year's data showed over 1,500 students in each one of the high schools combined. And I put the numbers up, which means that out of that, there's 53% of our students were served from CTE. So over half of the students that are enrolled were CTE, whether they took 1 or more courses. The red and the black that I've shown below, the black are your concentrators, the 6s. These are the students that are taking at least 2 courses. And they are usually within that framework of being juniors in high school. So by the time they're finished, they're sophomores, juniors, they have this number. They're pulling this from the transcripts by the state, and these are labeled as concentrators. And you'll notice that there's quite a few of those students that we see that did meet that standard. But the question comes in for us, especially for me, is how can we increase the number of completers? And those are the students that are completing more of the program of study with 3 or more courses with 4 or more credits. And that also helps them meet their endorsement. So when you're looking at business and industry and public service endorsements, for example, that also helps fulfill that if they're taking a CTE program of study. So as we look at that and you're thinking, how do we do that? We're looking at students that are more at the senior level. So these students may or may not be able to take that last course, but they have met a completer or concentrator status, which is good. But we always want to try to see how we can keep them through their senior year to get more industry certification opportunities. On our next slide, we look at our concentrator and completer data, and we broke it down, or I broke that down into grade levels. And you'll notice that the tall ones, of course, are the majority of seniors. So those seniors will notice that it appears that there's a significant drop in numbers as opposed to the number of students that were there. So out of those 1,654 students that were enrolled and on track in a CTE program of study, 132 of those students earned an IBC, or 8%. So we have that goal of 8% as we're looking up, and we are making strides. Although we wanted to meet 10% last year, we did rise 2 points from 6% to 8%. So we are making progress moving forward, which I'm very pleased with, and I was happy to see that. But we still want to get to that 10%, or in our case, for 2023, that 12%. And so how do we do that? We take a look, and before I do that, this slide I know you've seen before, and the difference in numbers on this on 21, 22, you'll notice that there seems to be quite a few more students on that last column, about the third down, and it's because I added in participants, those students that were coded 5s. So those are students starting out in addition to the 6s and 7s. So I wanted to give a different number, a different way to look at it. But we were happy to see that 74% of our students were actually in a program of study leading to an industry-based certification. So hoping those freshmen are going to maintain and stay in that program of study as they move forward. Then they become a 6, then they become a 7 as they earn their courses and credits. We don't have our snapshot data yet. That comes at the end of the month in October, as you're aware, but this is preliminary data that we have. So out of the 6,300, oh my gosh, you can't see it, 6,370 students that we have enrolled currently in grades 6 through 12, we show that 6,007 of those students are currently enrolled in a CTE course. That's 94%. Now, these are numbers that have not been verified yet because we'll have to put that together with our PEIMS snapshot. But I find that wonderful. So I'm happy to see that, so many students that are in those programs. So we're excited. So how can we help get up to that next goal of increasing the number of students with our IBCs? We need to build capacity and continue to build capacity with our teachers. In order to do that, we have taken an all-out approach to helping our teachers have time to work together or collaborate. And part of that, we've got our CTE mentor support in addition to the campus. And one of the things that we want to do is retain our teachers. Teachers are very hard to hire, especially CTE, because a lot of them do need industry experience. But it's difficult in the first place to recruit and also to get them to apply. But it's also even more difficult when they resign or they move on and we have to find someone for that position. So I have always had where we have a consultant that comes out in addition to the campus mentor that works with those teachers that are first year. Any teacher can benefit from them, whether they're second, third year, or even more, if they have a question and they want them to stop by or watch them teach their class or model in addition to what the campus is doing. We're happy to help with that, but that's it in addition. Secondly, we provide professional development. And this year, being our second year using Solution Tree Education for teacher collaboration, we're very fortunate to have Wendy Custable from this company, Solution Tree, that the district uses, that comes in. And in fact, she'll be here this week, Wednesday and Thursday. And we're going to talk about how the students or how they're doing, our teachers, are doing with their common assessments, because we've stepped into a pretty large footprint. And we're actually going in the realm of how academics. And so we're trying to get that collaboration piece, but it's a little different in CTE. And you'll see in just a moment the different courses or IBCs that are offered. And of course, information on the teachers that have taken that certification. But the professional development with this is crucial so that teachers start learning to collaborate. They're actually giving common assessments across the district, not working in silos, each doing their own lesson with the same course. And it's great to have more ideas and help when you're creating those tests so that we can be more successful. The third one is creating common assessments with our TEKS, as I mentioned, industry-based certification standards and units of study. And the IBC's industry-based certification, they are quite a bit more challenging than our TEKS that the state requires us to teach. So we have to wrap around those objectives or those expectations from the state with the standards that the vendor is expecting. And that is a challenge. So we have worked tirelessly to create those units of study over the last 6 years, breaking down the TEKS, creating units of studies, implementing a year at a glance, very similar to what you see in core academics. Our opportunities for training are specific there for our teachers so that they can go to workshops, they can go to conference. We invite administrators to participate in our conferences related to CTE. We invite our teachers to attend Region 20 workshops and any other training that will help them understand or see more information on the IBC that they're offering. And then we provide, of course, we're very happy to, and we're very fortunate with the district, and we can't thank the district enough with your support and to be able to have that industry equipment, that automotive lab, all that equipment we have in our construction lab. We've replaced quite a bit of what we did have and upgraded it to industry standard. We're doing the same thing with all of our programs, whether it's arts and AV, culinary, we're currently working with them, cosmetology a couple of years back, but we want to continue to keep that up to industry standard with our materials and equipment. So as I mentioned, as you look at the next 2 slides, we had a question and I was happy to answer that, is how much do these certification tests cost? How many teachers have taken the test themselves or who are planning to or in process? Where are we with that? So each one of these certifications, this is the actual dollar amount per test for each student to take. We participate by providing those students that opportunity to take that test. We take care of that funding. So when they do this and we're looking at them, they're interested in doing it a second time because they may not have passed it. Maybe they missed it by 1 question. They just have a couple of things they've got to help with. We want our teachers, as we're implementing that this year, to continue to work with them on those objectives they may have fallen just a little bit short on, and then provide that evidence and then have that student better prepared and let's try it again. So we're trying to help that with this year in our budget and to move forward with that goal. So you can see here that many of our teachers have either taken the test already, plan to take the test. They may be changing a vendor. We've had to get a different quote, or the teachers are either professionals that have to renew this every so many years, every 2 years or what it may be. Or they don't take the test at all. So when you look at Educational Aid 1 at the very bottom of the list on the second grouping, then the students have to pass the courses, a certain number of courses. I believe it's 3. I'm trying to remember. I'm sorry, but I don't have that right offhand. But 3 courses with a 70 or better in those courses. We get superintendent's approval, and then the teacher, we have a PO. The teacher works with those kids to implement that and put that in our TEAL for the state so they can enter their certification. And that includes fingerprinting. This year, as you might imagine, there's always changes in CTE. So the state has helped us out by providing a brand new list of IBCs that are available, and we're currently reviewing those and streamlining our programs of study. And I'm pleased to say that we're right on track with that already. So there's not much change, if any, unless the teachers want to look at something else, and then we work with our advisory also. On our next slide, this is how we continue, and I know I've repeated this before, and I didn't want to really go through all of this. I know you've seen it, but just quickly is we want to make sure that we invest in our teachers. I'm sorry, let me go back 1 slide. Okay, we want to continue to provide our resources, as we mentioned. We want to continue to support our teachers in providing those vouchers for them to go and take the test. Just recently, we've had 3 of our teachers going to Adobe training that we have sent them to. They wanted to go to in Austin, so they spend a couple of days up there learning that particular Adobe software like Premiere or Photoshop, so they can learn more about that as they teach it to help our students. We also are doing PLC training. We do provide substitute reimbursement for each teacher that is there. That includes middle and high school both, because we're working together and we want to collaborate. And we also are mentoring and supporting our teachers to help retain them, as mentioned earlier. Of note, we have started our first cohort with the T-class for our COVID. It's the T-class grant to, in direction of our teachers, and our education and training teachers are able to provide their students additional resources because we're trying to grow our own, as it were, to help encourage those students to teach within our school district as well. And those students, of course, will be in line to earn that educational aid 1. On the second slide in this information, we do invest in teachers through that common assessment planning. And again, we're working to help teachers identify those objectives and what they need to do to help those students be more successful in those IBCs. This year was our first year to participate in teacher incentive allotment. We were so excited for that, especially with the work the teachers are putting in. So we have Use Science, which is software, and it's called Precision Exams, and they're able to give our students a pre-test, and then at the end of the year, a post-test. They can give that test as many times as they like. But we have that so they can show growth, and they can demonstrate that as part of their evaluation when they're looking at the teacher incentive allotment. We've had such great information from Dr. Romero in Human Resources, and so we're very fortunate to have had her on board to help us with that. So thanks to Dr. Romero. And so next year we'll have middle school CTE teachers participate in teacher incentive allotment. So we're forging ahead of other districts to do that for CTE, and we're excited about it. We want to also provide funds, as we included on this, for industry certification, and make sure that we continue work with our campus administrators and our counselors as we define those 6s and 7s and how we're looking at how we're updating our 4-year plans. And I know all students have 4-year planning, but it's also to get those students that completer and how they're getting into those courses and how they're being prepared for those IBCs. So we'll continue with our discussions on that. And upcoming events, these are kind of cool. Some of these are we finally get to bring them back from all the years we didn't get to do CTE in the library from COVID. Our CTE facilitator, Gloria Ramirez, had always put this together for us at our middle schools. And we have the CTE in the library where we have a certain number of our programs go to each middle school twice this fall. And then we'll have our 8th graders walk through there to see them in person up close with kids presenting from the high school, a little activity to show what the program is about and receive information. So we started our marketing in that direction, in addition to what we currently do in upgrading our catalog, our endorsement booklets, and also what we do with District Family Night and our Career Night. So listed here, of course, we participate in fall and spring district family nights. We have encouraged our teachers to provide some hands-on activities just to get it out there and see this is what we're doing, hand out a few pencils that have career and technology on it, just keep the marketing alive. And then we also have our posters, banners that we provide teachers that we have printed from Region 20 to put that around in their school, in their hallway, or in their classrooms, and do their district career night, which we are looking at, and we're actually combining this into one event at Bogus on January the 26th. And we'll have the high schools there, and then of course the middle schools will still do the same tours around the high school campuses leading up to that. And the next thing you know, it's CTE month in February, so it kind of goes in progression. So the professional development opportunities that we have, as we already mentioned, okay. They're encouraged to attend professional development training throughout the school year. We have Region 20. Those are the different conferences that they can attend that are related to their profession. And then also campus administrators, counselors, as I mentioned earlier, are invited to attend along with workshops and trainings. And I wanted to thank you all again. I know the school board, you all just, such a wonderful support for us. I can't thank you all enough, especially with our budget and helping us stay up to date and relevant and keeping our kids prepared. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson. Any questions or comments from Ms. Anderson?
Yes, Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes, Mr. Moreno.
Yeah, Ms. Anderson, thank you. I know you've been with us a long time and you always bring us insightful information. What I wanted just to kind of clear up if we can, I know we've got some of this information, so it's kind of, we got it back in McCollum for in August with, I forgot the gentleman's name, but he does work in conjunction, I think, with you as well. And so in looking at it, just to clear the item 7A and GPM 1 here, and then GPM 1 from that board book, here it says, consider and approve the percent of students enrolled and on track in a CTA industry certification program will increase from 6% to 12% by 2025. I know here, when he presented, it was 10% to 12%. Here, when you're presenting, it's 8% to 12%. And I don't know if I didn't hear it correctly or what, but we're going from 6 to 12, and we had the 20% initially.
That's correct. So what I have seen on this part is when we're looking at the changes on this, and this is actually the statement in it, and I think I know what you're asking, but the statement itself is actually asking for two things. And it's asking for the enrollment, but it's also asking for the IBC, the student numbers to go up as well. I think that's advantageous. I do think that's going to be, some pretty challenging recruiting efforts to try to get it that high. I know with our enrollment and then having to look at that, we may need to readjust those numbers, but it doesn't mean that we want to keep our enrollment down. But I do think that we should look at, if we're going to 8% to 12% by 23, maybe more realistic approach or redefining what our statement is for that growth performance measure is might help with that.
Okay, so then we're asking for 6% to 12% by 2025?
I'm sorry, say it again?
The GPM, I just want to make sure I know what I'm going to support or vote for. So what we're asked to consider to approve is, will the CTE industry certification program will increase from 6% to 12% by 2025.
Okay.
That's what you guys are requesting.
Oh, you mean that's on the? what
Yeah,
was
because
on
we
the
have to vote
agenda.
for that.
Yeah,
So
I know. I saw that. I just saw that. I don't know.
Is that the
On
word?
the-
Because it's different listed here. It's not
Okay,
listed.
because on the agenda, it's got 6%. And then on our slide, it's got 8%.
Yeah, so 6% was the original goal was the original number from 1920. And we have gone, and so 8%, these are the 8, the 10, the 12, and the 16 and 20 are actually what our GPMs are, but that's not necessarily the actual data point that we hit. So what Ms. Anderson is reporting is actually what our data was at 8% at 2022. And the goal is by the end of this year will be 2023. By 2025, the GPM the goal is 20% as of right now. But there is a discrepancy.
But we're revising it to 12%, right?
For 2023, it is 12% and the GPMs.
Correct.
Okay. But on the agenda, it says 6 to 12% by 2025. So is that what we're supporting?
Correct. It's 2023.
So that's why I just want to clear that up first.
That's correct.
Oh, yes, that would be huge. So,
Yes, and
yes, thank you.
that's the same question I had, Mr. Moreno, because our agenda item says will increase from 6% to 12% by 2025. However, the slide says 8% to 12% by 2023. So he's correct. What are we, the board, going to vote on? Which one is correct, the slide information or the agenda item language?
The slide information.
It's going to be go ahead. Oh, the slide information.
And it's just for 2023, not 2025. We're
Correct.
not looking at that. Okay. All right, that was just the first thing that was kind of perplexing me a bit, just because I know we went over some of the data previously in August. The one thing I do really appreciate, Ms. Anderson, is the concentrators and the completers. I've never seen that type of document before. Can you kind of share or elaborate how that impacts us, maybe with indicators, or it's just really with indicators like domain 4, it's really just when we get the distinctions, it's really just based on who's enrolled, who's taking it, right? Or is this a different approach that they're going to be going towards? Because I never really saw where a kid has to be in two of them or more in order to pass. I always just thought either you're in it or you're not, and are you passing or are you failing?
So you're referring to the concentrator and completer definition? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, just how it impacts our rating.
Okay, that is just, I think the state and what they're doing is they're putting that with that concentrator and completer. Let me put this. Is this the one you're referring to here? Okay, that is from the Texas Education Agency website on CTE webpage. And what that has is it shows the different levels of either CTE non-learners, which are your 5, your participants, that type. And then the 2 that are CTE learners defined by the state are concentrators 6 and then completers 7. So when they look at this, this is how they're pulling, when they pull the data from each student off of their AAR or transcripts, then they're looking at the state ID of the courses that they've taken, and it's already pre-matched into the programs of study. So in construction, for example, you're going to have principles of construction. You go to construction technology 1, then construction technology 2, then practicum in construction. So those are the 4. That's what we currently offer as students move forward. So as students are taking principles, they've taken 1 course. Okay, once they go into construction technology 2 or 1, excuse me, then they have that second course. And now they have 2 courses with on where it says here for 6, they've got 2 or more CTE courses for a total of at least 2 credits. So now they're looking at becoming, or actually are a concentrator. So now they're considered labeled as 6. So when they go and move forward, they go to construction technology 2, their junior year, it's a 2-credit course. They're already getting now 4 credits. But each one of these, they have to, if they get to be 6s and 7s, they do have to take and pass the courses. And that's key, because in the past, when they used to just say, well, our coding was a 0, 1, or a 2, a 0, you're not in it, a 2, you're in a coherent sequence, instead of making it all complicated with our 6s and 7s. The student would have, oh, they're going to take these courses. We foresee that they're going to do this on their 4-year plan of study. That's their intent. That became how we figured out who was in the coherent sequence. But counselors had to go through and mark them as 2s, and that was just laborious. And then they would mark them as 1s or 0s, depending. And then once they did that, that affected, of course, just like this will, with testing and assessment data and so on through the district. But this is important for our students to have, or us to know, so that when we're counseling our students, when teachers really, and I have our CTE teachers become very familiar with their pathway, of course, you need to talk to the student about what course is next. Are the students interested in being in it? It can't just be on the shoulders of the counselors, because there's just not enough time. So we want them to have that input, and we provided a poster, that blue poster, to every student or teacher to hang up in their classroom, but also to counselors. And we provide handouts so that they can better explain that. Kids aren't going to walk around going, am I a 6 or a 7? Probably not. But for recording purposes, yes, that's the state pulls that number, the state ID of the course is taken, and that's how it gets dictated as to whether that student's considered a 6 or 7, a learner, CTE learner, as they call it.
All right. Thank you. I guess just what the last piece would be, just as I asked the other gentleman, is what are the obstacles that are, facing our kids and, facing our programs here? And lastly, what can we do to continue to support in addition to what you already shared with us?
I think our obstacles, which I always consider challenges, is to continue to have our students know that all of these programs are open to all students. So in CTE, we want to be sure that all kids know that they can be in those courses, because it is open to everyone. And the support that you're giving already, and I'll go back to the other part, but the support that you're giving already is paramount. And I can't thank you enough, because I know it takes an extraordinary amount of money to keep that equipment up to date. And so with your approvals in the past and seeing that through, that's always just appreciated. But I also think that, helping our teachers, and those are obstacles, and helping them get over that threshold of really making those common assessments and really going into that realm of having that and sharing information and analyzing data is new to them. And I do think that continuing on with PLCs and working with them, they're doing some tremendous work, and it's very pleasing and wonderful to see that they're actually trying to move into that realm of common assessments, because in the past they haven't had to do that. It just was something that academics did, and we wanted to move forward to help them be more successful.
Thank you, Mr. Moreno. You asked probably more questions that I wanted to ask. I mean, we were on the same wavelength, so thank you, Mr. Moreno. Anybody else? I'm sorry, Mr. Luna, go ahead.
Now, I just want to interject that. I'm just feeling there's a lot of participation. Just not a lot of kids crossing the line, so to speak. And we're gonna get the percentages, voted on. But one thing I mentioned is like Deion Sanders said it was, he's had his time. Now he's here to provide those time for the ones coming up in the future. And that's basically what our charge is, to provide for our future and for our future students to be involved. And then of course, I got my dad's ring on for education, but we need all these CTE people as well. But I don't know if the kids see the motivation, that have the drive to participate and really follow through. And so I just hope you get out there, those conferences, get inspired to bring back your knowledge to our students so we can have more than that 12% passing rate. That's what I'm hopeful for.
Yes, sir. I agree. Thank you.
Anybody else? I actually just want some clarification, please. So when you speak, Ms. Anderson, about more than one CTE course, we're talking about under that concentrated area, correct? It's not, okay, I'm gonna take construction and then I'm also gonna take cosmetology. It's a concentrated area of a CTE course that takes me through the different levels that I need to complete in order to master that certification exam.
Yes, ma'am.
Correct?
Yes, ma'am.
I have another question. Are there students, let me back that up, back up. So, okay, so do you have to take that concentrated CTE course as a freshman in order to complete the levels it requires so that the student can be successful in passing that exam?
We have to go by the state prerequisites that are required. The majority of our courses do not have prerequisites. There are some that do, and some of those are academic, like biology or chemistry, before they move on. But we function within that realm of taking or using the prerequisites and or in some cases co-requisites along with that course. But I will say that when we have students that are working up and they're starting from maybe the freshman level or sophomore level, if you will, and they go forward, they're getting a much better foundation and knowledge of that information prior to taking that IBC. Instead of just starting here at the junior level and then now here, try to take this and let's move forward.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson. And I guess that was it. I had something else, but I'll email. It was just
Please
something,
do.
I was just curious about something.
Okay.
It wasn't a question, it was a comment. And I know I speak on behalf of the board when I say we all believe that a student success is not just a college education. We strongly believe that an education is the student's success. And we feel not just a success for the students, but also for the teachers. We're here to support the teachers so that they can become successful, so that they can then create successful students. I am a true believer, and I probably speak for all the board, that an education is priceless. So I do encourage the community to talk to their children and make sure they know you don't have one choice as far as it's just college or nothing. No, it's what do you want to do? What do you feel comfortable? What do you want? What empowers you? What do you like doing that you can create a profession and get educated on that and become a successful citizen in our community. So anything you need, the teachers need, our students, by all means, you have our email addresses and Mr. Soto's. So,
Thank you.
so thank you so much for that.
Thank you very much.
Anybody else? Okay, Ms. Anderson, thank you. Do I have a motion for agenda item 7A?
Madam Chair,
Yes, Mr. Moreno.
if I may, and just Ms. Casey, if you need to correct me, don't hesitate to do so. But I believe I'm going to make a motion to approve the LSG presentation GPM 1. The percent of students enrolled in and on track in CT industry certification programs will increase from 8% to 12% by 2023. Was that correct? Okay.
I'll second. Thank you, Mr. Moreno, and thank you, Ms. Carrillo. Any further discussion, or can I move for the vote? Okay, I will move for the vote. This is on agenda item 7A. Ms. Carrillo, yea or nay? Yay. Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Limon, yea or nay? Yay. Ms. Ortiz, yea or nay?
Yay.
Thank you. Mr. Luna, yea or nay?
Yay.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Moreno, yea or nay?
Yay, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. And myself, yay. Motion passes on agenda item 7A. Moving on to agenda item 7B, Mr. Soto, who will,
Yes, Madam Chair, Board of Trustees, at this time, our attorney, Mr. Resendez, and the demographer will be up.
thank you.
Okay, good evening, everyone. As you know, we talked about redistricting last meeting. And we also, just to remind you, we have an item for closed session for legal questions, and there is some legal kind of issues I do want to go over, so we'll talk about that in close. But in general, just for you all and the community, as a reminder, every 10 years, the federal government takes a population count, and every governmental entity that has single-member districts has to analyze that data and make a determination if we have to rebalance the population, redraw the lines. And as you know, on the screen is our current map. And the data with the 2010 information, you'll see our population back then was 61,168. The deviation was 8.9, so we were in compliance. But then you insert on the next page, the 2020 data, and then we're out of compliance. You'll see that the deviation is 17.6%. And what that is just again to remind you, it's the difference between the largest populated single member district and the smallest. And as of now, the largest is single member district 4, the smallest is 3. So the idea is to rebalance the population to where all of them have, as close as possible, the equal population for each single member district. And that goal is 8,543 per single member district. That's the goal. So we worked with the demographer and we came up with one plan. This was plan 1. Initially, you'll see the major changes were in District 4, where some population was moved into 1 from 4. And then also some population was moved from 1 into 3. And then there was a little piece of 7 that went from 3 to 7 just to kind of make that a little bit more compact. So this was the first plan, and then here it is blown up. This neighborhood is currently in 1, and it was going to be moved into 3, which needs population. And here 4 needs to give up population. So 4, this area went into 1. And then that's the little part that we looked at and in talking to the demographer felt that we could make 7 more compact, but that was only 33 people, if y'all remember. It was pretty minor, but it was an idea to make it more compact along that 35, Interstate 35. So then you all, oh, here's the analysis in terms of the numbers. Just to remind you, the population based on draft plan 1, 7.9% deviation, that is within compliance. So you see under that plan, the largest district is still 4 and the smallest is 2 now, but the population is balanced. So then working with you all, we put together plan 2, just so the community or you all can have an option to see there's another way to draw the lines. So here we did make some adjustments. between 7 and 3. And I'm sorry, between 3 and 2, and then between 2 and 4. And then we also did have that one little change again to keep it compact between 3 and 7 that you all were able to identify. So here's the blown up, here's the part of 4 population that's going into 2, and that's the very southern part. And then here is the northern part of 2 that's going into 3, because 3, remember, we need to give them some population. And then here's that little piece in Mr. Moreno's district that is being adjusted based on just making it more compact, and next to Mr. Luna's 3. And then if you look at the numbers on this particular plan, the population balance is a little bit better, but again, as long as we're under 10%, we're fine. So both of these plans are legal. They comply with the guidelines for being compact, contiguous, keeping communities of interest in place, and compliance with the Voting Rights Act, in my opinion. So this plan is good as well. 6.8%. The largest is 4, the smallest is 2. So these were the 2 up for consideration. And if y'all have any questions now in general, or if you have legal questions, then we can talk about those in closed. And then ultimately, when we come back out, if you all are comfortable with this, we were going to take it to the community, get feedback, inform them, and then come back to you all either in November or December for final approval. Or if the community has some ideas or input, we might make some final adjustments based on that, but that'll be up to you all. So, Madam Chair, any questions from anyone?
And yes, I do. I just want to make sure to be clear and transparent with the community. This is still a vote that has to be made by the board.
Yes.
However,
Yes.
we want to make sure we include our community of the possible changes, because there's going to have to be a change regardless. So
Correct.
it balances out.
Yes.
And so we're asking the community to take a look at the potential changes of Plan 1 and Plan 2, so we can hear from them. But the community is not the ones that are going to vote on the redistricting. It is still a board vote, correct?
Yeah, ultimately, the board makes the final decision on what the redistricting plan will be. That is correct. Yeah, every district, the board makes the final decision. That is correct. And that is correct. It's important to get community input and to consider that, but then you all make the final decision, as long as, it's within the legal guidelines, of course. Yes, ma'am. So tonight, after we talk, I would ask that you all, if you're comfortable with these 2 plans, that we vote on these not as final plans, but just as proposed plans for consideration. And then we'll come back to you and after we get some feedback from the community. So.
Thank you, Mr. Resendez. Anybody else? Mr. Luna?
Yeah, just clarify also, Mr. Resendez, this is not changing school boundaries, it's changing our single member district boundaries for us, not the.
Yes, correct.
attendance.
Yes, we're not changing the attendance zone boundaries. These are just the single member trustee boundaries for the elections that are in the near future, one in May and then another one the following election cycle. So that is correct, sir. This does not affect the attendance zones at all. So, and then also for clarification, just again, the discussion was to have 2 town hall meetings, 1 at each high school in the very near future to get feedback. And that was going to be one of the mechanisms, as well as putting it on the agenda for the workshop and then the regular meeting coming up next time in case there's any citizens who want. So we have several avenues, as well as if, once y'all approve it, putting it on the website, having an email address for them to email us any questions or comments. So that way we can continue to gather information.
Thank you, Mr. Resendez. Anybody else?
Okay, thank y'all very much.
I do have just real quick, and I know you've said it, but I want to say it again because I want to be clear and transparent.
Yes, ma'am.
These changes are only going to affect which board member represents which area of our community, correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
That's all we're doing is, the idea is to balance the population in our Harlandale ISD community equally amongst the 7 single member districts. And the 2 plans that you all put together does do that. So both are legal, both are in compliance. It's just now a matter of preference, what we feel is a better way to do it.
So now I have another, I'm sorry, anybody else? No. So do we need to right now, if we have some legal questions, can we come back to this agenda item?
Yes, I
Okay.
recommend we come back.
Okay. Okay.
And then after we come back from closed session, consider voting on these as proposed plans.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Rosendez. No, okay. Thank you
Okay,
so
thank you,
much.
guys.
We will come back to 7B after our closed session.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Mr. Moreno.
I guess to segue from that, if I may make a motion to move into closed session for items A through D, and then return back to item 7B as well.
Thank you, Mr. Moreno. I will second your motion and I will take the vote to convene in closed session, yay or nay. Ms. Carrillo? Yay. Thank you. Ms. Limon?
Yay.
Thank you. Mr. Luna?
Yay.
Mr. Moreno?
Yay, ma'am.
Ms. Ortiz?
Yay.
Thank you. And myself, yay. It is 8:03 and we are going to convene in closed session. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for being so patient. It is 9:28. We are back in open session. And I am going to refer to agenda item 7B. Is there a motion?
Hold on just a second.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Mr. Moreno, Ms. Carrillo, who wants to take it?
would you like to? Sure. I'd like to move to make I move to approve the trustee single member districts resulting from the 2020 census data as discussed, presented.
Second,
Did we have to be specific with part 1 and part 2? Okay, so to also include the discussion on or the extension of part 1 and part 2 of the data.
Thank you. Okay, Ms. Carrillo,
second,
thank you. Any further discussion on agenda item 7B, or can I move for the vote? 7B.
I guess, just to be clear, was that okay? I know, Mr. Resendez, you were busy, but I made a motion to approve the trustee single member district resulting from 2020 census data as discussed and presented, including part 1 and part 2.
Yeah, that's fine. Plan 1 and plan 2. Yeah, or part 1 and part 2. Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah, thank you, sir. No problem.
And Ms. Carrillo already seconded. Can I move forward with a vote? Okay. Ms. Limon, yay or nay?
Yay.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Ortiz, yay or nay?
Yay.
Thank you. Mr. Luna, yay or nay?
Yay.
Thank you. Mr. Moreno, yay or nay?
Yay, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Carrillo, yay or nay?
yay.
Thank you. And myself, yay. Agenda item 7B, motion passes. Agenda item 8A, no action taken by the board at this time. Agenda item 8B.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Ms. Carrillo.
I move that we find that good cause did not exist for a contract resignation for Nan Pringle and proceed with seeking sanction for state of board educator certification.
Thank you, Ms. Carrillo. Is there a second on
I'll
Ms.
second
Carrillo's
that.
motion? Thank you, Ms. Limon. Any further discussion, or can I move for the vote? Okay, I'm moving for the vote. This is on agenda item 8B. Ms. Ortiz, yay or nay?
Yay.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Moreno, yay or nay?
Yay, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Mrs. Carrillo, yay or nay?
Yay.
Mr. Luna, yay or nay?
Yay.
Ms. Limon, yay or nay?
Yay.
And myself, yay. Agenda item 8B, motion passes. Agenda item 8C, no action taken by the board at this time. Agenda item 8D.
Action was already taken.
I was just gonna say, action was taken on agenda item 7B, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Moving on to agenda item 10.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Ms. Carrillo.
I move to adjourn.
I will second your motion and I will take the vote. Ms. Carrillo, yay or nay to adjourn this
Yay.
meeting? Thank you. Ms. Ortiz, yay or nay?
Yay.
Thank you. Mr. Luna, yay or nay?
Nay.
Ms. Limon, yay or nay?
Yay.
Mr. Moreno, yay or nay?
Yay, ma'am.
Thank you. And myself, yay, although Mr. Luna said nay, motion, agenda item 10, motion to adjourn meeting passes. It is 9:32. Thank